Hello everybody, and you are very, very welcome to our Ask Me Anything session today. I'm thrilled to be here with Evie, who has lots and lots of her experience to share with us. To kick off with a little bit of housekeeping, my name is Kat Baker. I am the manager of the success team here at Fourth Rev. It's my pleasure to look after all of the people who support learners, students, coming through our programs, ensure that you stay on track and have a really, really great experience. We can talk some more about that later if you'd like. But as we go through the session today, if you do have any questions, and I'm sure you'll have one or two as we go through, pop them in the Q&A feature. And you can ask any questions there. Anything else you can pop in the chat box, and then if we don't answer your question as we go through, then we'll come to those nearer the second half of the session. We'll share a recording with you after this session as well. And later in the call, I'm pleased to welcome my colleague Jamie, who is one of our enrolments team, who will answer any kind of specific questions like when's the next course start and things like that. But the main event today is all about getting to know Evie a little bit more and her experience on the Career Accelerator. So Evie, thank you so much for taking time out of what I assume is a really busy day for you, and to share your experience. So hello, welcome, and it'd be lovely if you could introduce yourself.
Hi everyone. So my name is Evie. Just background really, I completed the course what would be probably nearly 2 years ago, maybe 2.5. But I've been a UX designer for the past 3 to 4 years. I work at a beauty tech startup here in London. But essentially, yeah, crazy startup life, and that's my role within the company. Um, but yeah, that's my background. I graduated from Loughborough University here in England, in industrial design and technology. So a little bit product design, little bit of UX design. It was quite a broad degree. But that led me into this career path basically.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Evie. Great introduction. We've got loads of questions today, so we're going to dive straight in. What inspired you to join this program?
What inspired me? So at the time, and I know it was very different for course people on my course because we'd all come from different backgrounds, but I was already working at my startup, and the background really is that we were launching a second app. Basically, it was a big major release. And at the time, there wasn't really anyone as like a set UX designer in the company. It was just me as a designer, wearing multiple hats. Um, but I was working very much a lot on it. And I remember going to our CEO at the time, and I think what we lacked like a process basically for that big project. And I remember going to him and I was like, I'd like to learn more about the process so I can establish a proper like end-to-end um design to
Mm,
it. And he suggested that I did a course and I learned rather than hiring anyone
yeah.
to teach me, go out there and like learn that process, gain the tools to then approach that project, and to take on that basically. So that's essentially what sparked
Mm,
my interest basically.
fantastic. So they really backed you to develop and take on more of responsibility and ownership of that.
Yeah, yeah, that
Amazing.
was it basically.
And how did this program align with your kind of your own personal career goals and aspirations?
So for me, like I said, like because I was the only UX designer,
Mm,
for me to progress in my career, bring value to what was like a young startup company,
yeah.
being able to have those tools and have that process that I'd learned throughout the course was extremely valuable to set that sector in the business, if that makes sense. Because
Yeah.
it wasn't there before. I needed the guidance, I'll
Yeah.
admit, that professional, being able to apply that to an industry setting.
Mm.
So it put me in a great position early in the company to bring all of that tool set, showcase how things should be done, if that in a silly way, um, and like set that role for myself really. And
Mm.
it's been great ever since then. I've really been able to apply that across a multitude of projects really. So that's helped me grow in my career, I suppose.
Fantastic. Really good to hear. Really, really great to hear. And you've obviously enhanced your career with this program.
Mhm.
Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Enhance. So I mean, when it comes to our projects, and like say if we're taking on a new app feature, or
Mm.
um I guess there's different elements to that project. There's securing buy-in from stakeholders. There is coming up with solutions for like designs. There's passing it over to developers. So to me, it gave me the tools like that. So good research skills, good presentation
Yeah.
skills for stakeholder buy-in.
Mm.
It gave me things for iteration and design. It gave me all of the tools that I could showcase and help myself move from low fidelity, so like rough mock-ups of what that feature should look like, up until right, this is an interactive prototype of this like digital product. But then it also gave me skills of that last part of the process, which is like, how do I communicate with developers? So
Mm.
essentially, it enhanced every way that I approached each stage of that design
Yeah.
journey. And I think it just gives you that. Although I'd had some experience at uni doing UX, it gave me a real, like I keep coming back to the word process, but
Mm.
it established a baseline that I could, even now, constantly return to and think, right, what are the tools, what are the things that I could use at this point,
Mm.
if that makes any sense.
It does to me.
Um,
Yeah, definitely.
yeah. So just that baseline really of what you should do, the process gives you that some sort of guidance of
Yeah.
to know what to do.
Amazing. Thank you. You've listed off a lot of things there. How practical would you say the learning is, and how did it prepare you for like the real world challenges?
I would say it's very practical, because you're approaching like you're not just like learning and writing notes, you're applying that to an ongoing project. So that application of your learnings is extremely practical, because then when I approach a project now, I can face it in a similar way, because
Mm.
I've already I've already done it.
Yeah.
So I'd say very
Yeah.
practical. And for example, we have, even the other day at work, where we've got a list of features that we need to prioritize. Um, I sometimes think to myself, and I'll actually return to my notes sometimes, and I'll go, right, prioritization, right, impact, effort, matrix, and I'll return to
Amazing.
those notes
Yeah.
and apply that at work, um, which is really, it's really handy.
Fantastic. And great that you're still kind of thinking about going, this is the skill I need, here it is, this is how I'll put it into practice.
Yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely.
Fantastic. So you just mentioned one there, the impact efforts matrix. What other aspects of the program have you found I guess, most valuable in building total range of design skills?
Other things that I found helpful, for example, the research phase was a
Mm.
great, I think that was one of the earlier modules, and how you approach the research section of the project. And like the course will provide you with so many different techniques.
Mm.
And to me, I like every project is different and how you approach it because there's different resource, time constraints, but I'll constantly return back to it and go, right, I'm going to take that research method, take that
Mm,
one. So like I said, it's about returning. It just gives you a really good textbook, basically, of
yeah.
skills that you can return back to and utilize to help progress in different projects, I would say.
Amazing. Amazing, thank you. And it seems like there's a whole load of skills, and you're kind of picking out the ones for this project. This is what I'll need here. I'll need that one over
Yeah.
here. It's not just one straight view. This is how you do it. It's giving you that range of skills that you can then pick the most appropriate tool for the job.
Exactly that, and it's so helpful to that because for me at work, I didn't actually have that person above me or
Mm,
to give me that guidance. So it really provided me with that skill set to know what to do next. And I can imagine there was a lot of people on my course that were completely new to UX design,
mm,
didn't have any background, and also didn't have a background of design. They were
yeah.
they were actually moving from a completely different sector, which is extremely scary, but it simplified it. It simplified it for them, and made that transition a lot easier because you were entering into that world with some insight. You'd carried out some
Mm,
projects. You had an idea of what the process should be.
yeah.
Um, so I think it's great.
Fantastic. Thank you. Want to talk now a little bit about the employer project. For anybody who doesn't know, the course is split into four, and the final course within that is the employer project. And that's when you work on a live brief from a real life company, and it's not at all totally unpredictable, but it's not as simple as, well, here's the brief, this is what you're going to do. You work with somebody with their real life kind of demands and things like that. So how did you find the employer project, and did that help you solidify your learning?
Definitely. It was our for background, our project was I think it was like a medical app. Um and we worked as a team of about 10 people. Um but especially when you come into this world, a lot of UX design will be collaboration, it will be teams, it will be working with like multidisciplinary team members. So
Mm,
it was really good for getting an insight into how that would be carried out. And obviously, in that team environment, there was people that had a day job, there were people
mm,
that were free in the evenings versus mornings, and you really had to work together. And
yeah,
I think that again, that was probably one of the difficulties is that like learning when everyone's free, but that's all that's all part of it, and it's a great skill to learn is that team collaboration for that one common goal, looking at some people's strengths, some people's weaknesses.
mm,
Um, so it's great for that, and it's great. An industry project as well is so good because, especially if you are new coming into this sector and you need to do a portfolio, it's great to. It's a quick asset to have then that you can pull out and showcase to an employer and
yeah,
say, "This is what we did. This was the team. This is how we approached a problem. These are the things that we went through." So it gives you that springboard. It's extremely
definitely.
valuable.
And really interesting that you pick up on the stories there that you can say to like a prospective employer, and you break it down. This is what I did. This is the challenges. This is where we did really well. So that's the thing that will really vibe with somebody who's looking and going, "Well, you've got this qualification. Can you do this?" That brings it to life.
Definitely, because the design world and UX world is like when you go for jobs, it's so largely based on your portfolio
Mm,
sometimes. I mean, to be honest, without a portfolio, it's very difficult to apply. Um, so having that, and you also do another project as well
yeah.
earlier on in the course, don't you? So you've got two projects there where sometimes it's not just about the number of projects. An employee just
Mm,
wants to see your process of thinking and how you approach problems and how you've worked as a team. So if you have two assets which you can talk through and showcase who you are as a designer, your values, how you tackle a problem, how you overcome it, that is instantly gets your foot in the door, if that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you. Yeah, portfolio is really, really important.
Hmm.
And to have those assets there would also be able to really bring them to life. It's not a static thing on a page. You can really talk through it. And that's when your passion comes through, your personality comes through, and when you can really showcase who you are as a designer.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly. It's so important. Yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. So we're kind of talking a little bit about jobs. How did the program help you improve what we call your personal brand, and your professional profile, CV, LinkedIn, portfolio, those types of things?
Hmm. Um, I mean, it's on my CV now, on my LinkedIn, um, which is they're great. And King's College is a great name to have as well on your CV, because it's instantly recognizable by an employee. Um, but yes, like I said, I've added it to both of those. And then, for example, also you get the certificate at the end, don't you?
Yes,
Which
yeah.
you can then put on LinkedIn, um, to show that you've completed an additional course. So I think it really helps. It's another thing to like pull out to say, I've got this with
Mm,
King's College. And I
yeah.
think it definitely improves your personal brand, like we said.
Mm, definitely. Yeah, there's loads of ways you can learn these skills, and no shortage of resources out there. But having the backing of a very recognizable brand, prestigious brand in education, it gives you a
Hmm.
leg up, I think.
Exactly. Our founder, he is from America, and I've done a few additional courses, but
Mm,
he obviously instantly recognised King's College when I first ever showed him the course. And to be honest, I think that was probably one of the elements that did convince him straight away, because he actually funded that for me, the course.
oh,
Um,
nice.
but I think one of the reasons was because it was with like an established
Hmm.
institute. So for him, there was that instant trust of the course,
Yeah.
um, which definitely helped my case, trying to convince him of that, basically.
Fantastic. Great to hear. Um, we do offer like a different range of supports. You've got your kind of facilitator who supports your industry development and the content. Also got success managers and career coaches. So did you interact much with your success manager or career coach, and did they help you along the way?
They were great. Iona, she was my success manager, and I'd have weekly check-ins with her. Um, and also, it's not, even though it's like an online course, you had such good contact with those success managers and
Yeah.
your career, etc. You had instant access and you could message them anytime. It was very much like how it was at university, where you could speak to people if you needed help. It wasn't just like,
Mm,
oh, this is your time slot and that's it. It was
yeah.
really good to be able to check in. And like I was telling you earlier, Kat, I I actually still have the our lecturer on LinkedIn, so I chat to her sometimes. Um, but everyone was really great, and they were very interested in how they could help you as an individual.
Yeah.
You weren't just like another number joining the
Mm,
course. It was very much about how can we, what are you trying to achieve? How can we help you specifically, and tailoring that guidance for me, basically in the position I was in versus other people.
mm, yeah.
Because like I said, we're all coming from different backgrounds
Yeah.
and like sectors, basically.
Fantastic. Yeah, it's obviously in my job, that's really nice feedback to hear. So yeah, we'll do the big check there. But for you to feel that it was all about you rather than,
Hmm.
oh, that's what you have to do in that time slot, etc. Really, really great to
Yeah.
hear that. Thank you for sharing. And the other support you got, say, in your live sessions from your facilitator, who you're still in touch with, also amazing. How did you find that?
They were really good. Because they weren't they felt more just like a group lecture. They weren't like that she just said all the information and you just took notes. It was very much like we'd jump on Miro boards all together. It would be like breakout sessions. So um it was great for like team building, but also you
Yeah,
learnt more from it because it was interactive.
yeah.
Um And it felt, I don't know, it felt very much like you were like in like a lesson, a group lesson. Even though it's all online, it still felt very much like you chat to people in your breakout rooms and talk about the
Mm.
thing that you were working on, which was really good.
Amazing. And that can be nerve-wracking at first to be in a new situation, new
Mhm.
people. But the more that you talk about what you're doing, the more your confidence grows and the more that you can talk about it with other people in the future.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Because, like I said earlier, design is all about
Yeah.
teamwork. So those breakout sessions, the sessions, sorry, they are daunting at first because
Yeah.
obviously there's quite a few people on them. My one advice would be always turn your camera on because you build those relationships, you see familiar faces. Um, but yeah, they're great to get to know everyone really and work as a team, like I said.
Wonderful. Thank you. So thinking back across your whole experience of the course, would you be able to pick out one high point where you're like, yes, this was a really great moment?
Oh, high point. Um, I think it was the after we'd done our presentation of our employee project. I think it was that when we all messaged in the group chat afterwards, like celebrating, like, oh, we've done it. Um, I think that was probably a high point because we'd worked very hard um to achieve it and we got a really good grade actually. But um it was just nice to feel like as a team we'd achieved something that we were all really proud of. So I'd say
Yeah.
that was a high.
Brilliant. And I'll tell you a little inside secret here. Obviously, one of the team will facilitate those final presentations. We all fight to be the person who is hosting those sessions at the end
Oh,
because it's
really?
just yeah, it's just so wonderful to see the culmination of everybody's work and how proud everyone is and how well you kind of speak about your concept, your design, what you want to achieve, and to hear you get that great feedback from the employer and yeah, you've smashed it. You've done really well. Yeah,
Yeah,
we get all the warm and fuzzies and go, yes, we're working towards the shared goal here.
which is great because all around, obviously, then it's clearly a great experience
Yeah,
for everyone involved. Which is again why I'd always promote because this is what I'm saying. It doesn't just feel like you're just doing this like online course, which I have done others in the past where it's just like, yeah, and you do the exam and you fill it out and you're answering Q&As. It's very it felt like a university project for me.
yeah,
That's yeah, which is really good.
amazing. Thank you. So your high point was that big presentation, the nerves leading up to it, the getting it across, getting that great feedback, celebrating with your team. What was the biggest challenge that you faced?
Biggest challenge. I think the biggest challenge for me was balancing it alongside
Mm,
day job,
yeah.
probably. Um, but with that, because for me, come in at I used to come in at 7:30 in the morning in the office, but that was the time that worked best for me. Some people work
Mm,
better late in the evening, but I'm just not that person. I used to come in at 7:30, work until 9, and then start my day job, and then
mm,
I used to spend some time on the weekend. But I think that was the hardest thing, was just finding a time that worked. But to be honest, once I'd got into that routine, it was okay. And also, time management is so important.
Yeah.
And to me, it's another skill gained, really, being able
Yeah.
to to balance um like job alongside additional learning. Um so all in all, it wasn't really a challenge, but it was definitely something I had to adapt to.
Yeah. Once you got into that rhythm, did it feel manageable?
Definitely, definitely, yeah.
Great.
Um, sometimes I do normally just work 9 till 5 now, but sometimes I actually miss the earlier start, really. I'd prefer to do that and finish earlier, to be honest. Um, so because I really got used to it, actually. But yeah,
Brilliant. So you found a routine that worked for you, and that made it all possible.
yeah, yeah,
Mm,
exactly that.
wonderful. So, UX design, it is certainly not a static career, changing all of the time. How do you feel the program prepared you to stay competitive within the market?
I think it definitely is a very competitive market.
Yeah,
And in general, the job market at the moment is so competitive, especially here in London. Um, I think that's why additional courses and learnings are so important like that.
mm,
Um, because I think if you can showcase to like your current employer or other employers that you've got a growth mindset, and that
yeah,
you're constantly wanting to, because again, like, technology is such an evolving world. It's really important to keep learning and keep gaining those new skills. And I'm sure the course probably would have like learnt from all of that and adapted even since I took it. There's probably new modules on AI and things like that. Um, so I think that's how it helps you stay ahead in a competitive market. Um, just showing that you're willing to evolve and grow your skills,
mm,
which is yeah, so important nowadays.
yeah, definitely. Couldn't agree more with that one. Thank you. You've mentioned a little bit about how good it was to kind of have your camera on, get to know people. So, did you manage to find that connection with other people on your course? And did it make things easier, more fun, better to get into that mindset of collaboration?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I feel like I can still remember um a few faces from
Yeah,
the initial calls. Um and that's probably the same for you, Kat, as well. The people who put their cameras on, you probably remember slightly if
yeah,
you were to see them again. Um So you definitely, that's why I'd always advise it. Even though it's daunting, if you're the only one in the call, just put your camera on, because also it's great for the lecturer as well, because they actually engage with you more because you've got your camera on. Um, but it helps build those bonds. And then like with the employee project, I'd built, because you were working so closely with people.
mm,
I have on LinkedIn all of the people that I was on that project with, and even in itself, that's great networking in the
yeah,
industry, especially if you're like coming new into it. It's great to have those people that you can connect with and grow your network in that sector if you're new to it,
mm,
basically.
yeah, definitely. Fantastic. And you've put a lot in and you've gotten a lot out. So yeah, that's really good to see. Let's talk about some advice that you might give to future students, maybe people on this call thinking, okay, I'm interested. Yeah, this might be for me. What would advice would you give them based on your own experience?
Oh, what advice? I think for me, it's evaluate what you're trying to achieve. Like, what are you new to the industry and you're trying to understand what UX design even is? Are you like me, where you're in a position where you know about it, but you need to gain the tools and know
Mm,
the process that you should implement into a company, or are you someone already in it and you just want an additional asset to add to your skill set? I think understand what you're trying to achieve um and try and gain the most from it, like
yeah.
that, basically. Because there's lots of different parts of the course. Like for some people it might be about the career help that
Mm,
so I suppose in a way, if that makes any sense,
yeah.
just evaluate what you're trying to achieve,
Yeah.
um, so that you can get the most out of it. But if I was given advice for people that they weren't quite sure whether to take it on, for me, like I said, I always refer back to it. Like there's so many different projects I've carried out, and I've gone back to my notes to look at that because I don't have that advice. So it's one of those
Mm,
where it's not just a course that in the meantime you add it, you put it onto your CV and then you never come back
yeah.
to it. The skills and software that I've learned that I've taken with me, and I still,
Mm,
even 2.5 years later, still continue to take with me and apply to my everyday work, really.
perfect. So it keeps being relevant.
Yeah, it keeps being
Mm.
relevant. Yeah, so that would be my advice. It's quite overarching and that's quite broad.
No, it's great advice. And I think knowing your goal gives you an opportunity to plan how you are going to attain that.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
fantastic. Is there anything that you wish you'd known before you started the program?
Before I'd known, I think for me, it was probably about like what's the schedule?
Mm,
Um, when are the lectures?
yeah,
Are any in person, but they're not, they're virtually. Um, those are the things that I probably wanted to know, just so that I could pre-plan how I was how I was going to achieve it,
yeah,
um, and create that schedule for myself, like I said
yeah.
earlier. Um, but other things that I'd wish I'd known, probably again about the project structure as well.
Mm,
Knowing that it was like lectures and learning and projects within those. And then
yeah.
there was the employee project which was slightly separate. It was like taking everything you'd learn and then applying it to something. Whereas there was like mini projects in the first stage to kind of to not to test is the wrong word, but to apply that in just small sections, just so that
Mm,
you're really like embedding the learnings.
yeah,
But I'd say they were the two things.
fantastic. So the logistics and kind of the structure of the program.
Yes, yeah.
Brilliant. Thank you. And if you were to recommend this program, who would you recommend it to and why?
I would recommend it to definitely to people early in their career that need that guidance,
Mm,
um, of the like I keep saying the word process, but need to understand that end-to-end design process. What are the stages? What do I need to know? Just so you've got that skeleton of knowledge to then
mm,
build on with industry experience.
yeah,
Um, because if you haven't done a course at university, um, it's really important. I think it's definitely something you're going to need to know before you just jump into the industry.
yeah.
Mm. But I also think it's so valuable for people like I was. I was already in my career. I was taking on projects. But I must admit, sometimes I look back and I look at projects I've handled before I did the course, and we designed features for the app,
Mm,
and they had no grounding in user insights or knowledge
okay.
of the user. So, for example, the whole point I did the course is because we'd released a version 1 app, and we needed to create an entirely new one. And this version 1 app, it wasn't based on true user insight.
Mm,
But how could I tackle this new project without even knowing how to approach it? So yeah, definitely people early on in their career.
yeah, fantastic. That's really interesting that you can see the stark difference between your approach before the course and after it.
Yeah, and the improvement in
Yeah,
myself as a UX designer, a vast improvement.
amazing. Can't want more than that. Evie, it's been so nice hearing more about your journey today. Really nice to catch up and see how you're doing. Final question from me.
Hmm.
What's next? What does the future look like for you career-wise?
What is next? Our company is planning to launch internationally within the next few months. So I think our business will really start to grow. So I
Mm,
think for me, it's about growing that UX sector even more, perhaps
yeah,
taking more people on board. Um, and for example, for me, using those skills to teach other people
yeah,
that may join like that growing sector as we take on more projects. Um, so yeah, really just grow within my role really in the
yeah.
company and grow with it. Um, but yeah, so exciting times ahead really.
Amazing. And I can see it, hear that in your voice. And for what it's worth, I think you'll make a great mentor to people who don't have that because you know what it's like. So yeah, I
Thank
wish
you.
you welcome. I wish you the very best. I'm gonna hand over to Jamie now. But again, Evie, thanks a million. Really great to hear what you've done since doing the program. And thank you again for sharing all of your wonderful advice and insight.
No problem. Thank you, Kat.
Thank you. Bye. Over to you, Jamie.
Thank you so much, Kat and Evie. What an amazing story. And welcome all. Good afternoon. My name is Jamie. I'm an enrollment advisor here at Facilitator for the last 3 years since the program launched. And for those that might not know, most of you, I was the enrollment advisor for Evie, and I helped her make this big decision back in 2023 when she booked her first call and asked me lots of questions. And we spent about 30 minutes before she signed up, just going through everything. But it's a full circle moment for me getting to hear Evie's success, and I'm sure a lot of you are interested in knowing a bit more detailed about the structure and delivery of the program. So, looking at the fourth Div and King's Career Accelerator, it's a 6 month online and fully remote experience where you're able to enroll and find out everything that it takes to be a UX and UI designer, not only in 2025, but for years to come. We are aiming to future proof our career accelerator as much as possible so that by the time you leave the program, you're more than confident and more than equipped to enter the role of a UX and UI designer. So, over the 6 months, we have a very practical program. We don't have exams or tests. Rather, we have a portfolio building system which sees 4 practical projects which you'll be building over the program. These projects will be graded and you'll get comprehensive feedback from our course facilitators on. But the main idea, as Evie has mentioned, is to use these projects as a body of evidence or a portfolio to showcase the work that you've done, not only to either maybe current employers, but for future opportunities as well. That's most important. So at the end of it as well, we have real work experience opportunity for those that not only want to have a portfolio, but they want to walk away with tangible results. So for the final 6 weeks of our program, we have what we call the employer project, which for most is the most exciting part of the program. It's when you get to work with an actual organization, look at some of their data, and try and come up with strategic recommendations and solutions for them. So by the end of it, you'll have a full portfolio, work experienced, and more than enough confidence to actually take on the role of a product designer. However, of course, this is one half of the journey, which is learning, but the second half is going to be, how do I take what I've learned in this investment and how do I get a return on it? How do I walk away with something that is an outcome for myself? Well, from day one, as Evie has mentioned already, you will be assigned a career coach who you'll be working with over the program. Now, given that our program is flexible, you are in charge of booking in these sessions with your career coach, and you will go through the process of getting to know one another because it's a personal relationship. You'll be spending a lot of time with your coach, so it's getting to know one another. Then it's about setting up your goals. What do you want to achieve? And from there, we are able to now put the strategy in place to help guide you from that point. And often, and Evie can attest to this, it's going to be around your personal brand, setting you up around strategic job search, preparing you for interviews, and if it's internal promotions, preparing you for discussions with your manager or anyone else that you might want to speak with. So it's very much aligned and tailored to the outcomes that you want. Not every outcome is going to be favorable for everyone. So we want to know, what do you want to walk away with, and we will try our best to assist you with that. Now, you not only get the career coaching on the program, but we also have additional extended career coaching, which happens beyond the program if need be. But for us, we'd love for our learners to achieve their career outcome as soon as possible. So it's best to chat with your enrollment advisor. If it's not me, you can book in a time with them, and we'd be able to walk you through how the career coaching and even the extended career coaching will work for you. So that is a brief overview. And of course, weekly, for anyone that might be working full time at the moment, weekly time commitments are also very important. It's about 15 to 20 hours a week. And to highlight what Evie has said, the biggest challenge often is going to be time management and your structuring of your week. So from the past, we've learned from a lot of learners, a lot of lessons, and with our success team, they are able to guide where need be. And that's where the first 2 weeks of our program is absolutely crucial. We have a lot of sessions around time management and how to make the most and be the most efficient and effective over the 6 months. So the first 2 weeks, we'll be prepping all our learners to ensure that we are really setting you up for success. So thank you again for everyone. I'd like to open it up now for the Q&A questions. I know a lot of you have submitted questions for Evie. Some of them I'll be able to answer directly, but for those that is directly for Evie, I will look at those first. Keep them coming, everyone. Please don't use the chat, use the Q&A box. We have 9 questions in there, so please keep them coming if you have them. So Evie, quick one for you. So I know you had a good background already, but there's a lot of professionals and candidates that will join this program that don't have that skill set or have no experience in UX or UI design. From your perspective, let's say you came in without the background you did, how ready do you think this program would have made you?
I I I think very ready, if I'm honest, because I'm saying I've got experience, but I'd only been at the company 6 months really. I hadn't got um I hadn't been a UX designer at a previous job, let's say. Um, so I would say it's extremely valuable for that. Um, because what it does, it trains just the way of thinking. Um, because with a lot of these things, you're not just training, oh, this is how I solve this specific problem. It isn't like a black and white thing. It's just training your overall like thinking process so that you can then take that to any project that you're faced with. Um, so I would say it's extremely because it consolidates every single part of like what you will face in a company. That whole I keep referring back to end, which is basically when you've got the concept of something that you might create to it being on a website, on an app, and what the course was really good for is it provided you with the knowledge of every single step. So therefore, when you go into a company, you're not missing any knowledge of each section. You've got an insight into each step of that journey.
See, no, that's very helpful, and I'm sure a lot of confidence has been raised in our audience today for those that might be career changes. I always advise this on my calls as well. You don't need pre-existing knowledge. You don't need to be an expert coming in. We cover everything from a foundational level upwards. So whether you're coming in with a little bit of knowledge or nothing at all, we will be covering everything for you. And in terms of the portfolio, Evie, I spoke a bit about this in the overview. And do you mind just sharing a little bit about the support that we provided around you actually building your portfolio?
Yeah, definitely. I think one of the sessions we had at the end of the course was consolidating. You could drop in and show your portfolio, um, which is so funny because even now, the portfolio I have, I'd love to just be able to send that off and get people's advice from a professional above me. So to have that at the end is so good because they look at what you've created. They look at it from an employee's eyes to see where you could improve. So having that expert advice at the end, if you are planning to then apply to jobs, is is so great. And also, I think one of the sessions towards the end of the course, every project that you do, your final like handoff, let's say, is in a portfolio structure. So you haven't just got to do something and then you have to rework it for a portfolio. Everything you do is is creating to then put into a portfolio. Not like a course that you do and then you've got to go away on your own, build a portfolio, not really know whether it's the right approach. Have I like structured this in the right way? You do that on the course and you have it checked on the course.
Oh, that's really good. And so a learner last week described it to me as a one-stop shop because I was saying, all the benefits that you get, and I'm like, wow, this is like a one-stop shop. It's everything that you could possibly
Yeah.
need under one roof. And the fact that you're getting such tailored advice for your portfolio, which is for industry, it's absolutely amazing. Another question we can look at are, and you'll answer this to the best of your ability. Are there many opportunities for UX and UI designers out there? So again, I mean, what does the market look like to you? I know you're happy in your role and might not be looking externally, but from your conversations and experience you're having in industry, is it slowing down? Are the opportunities there? What is it looking like on the ground?
I would say it's a growing sector. It's huge. The way that we're progressing towards digital is immense, and there will be and there is a cry out for UX UI designers. Um, like I look on LinkedIn at jobs because everyone does anyway, and there's so many jobs available. Um, so I would say, but I would say it is a competitive market, but that's why it's. But I would say never be scared off by things like that because loads of sectors are competitive. I think it's just like what you bring. I mean, if you're carrying out courses like this, you've clearly got a mindset where you want to learn. Um, so I think don't ever let that like hinder you. Um, but I think the popularity of product designers and seeing the value that they bring direct to business outcomes is growing and will continue to grow.
Nice. No, I absolutely love that answer, and it actually ties into another question we have, which is, does the market seem oversaturated or diluted? And I think you've answered that quite well, which is, competition is good. Without competition, it would be much more difficult to actually get it
Yeah.
all because it would be so easy. So you need that little bit of competitiveness so you can invest in yourself to have a
Mhm.
competitive edge. So again, to the Deacon, your question, it's definitely not oversaturated, maybe with not the right skills, but those that have the right skills, I think there's a great need for that in the market.
Hmm.
And then let's see. How many hours is required for the program? So again, in the overview I gave, I spoke about it being 15 to 20 hours. I always say every week is different, and I'm sure you can agree with this. Not every week is the same. Some weeks topics you'll be familiar with. Other weeks topics it might take a little bit longer to get on. But Evie, would you say the 12 to 15 hours average was realistic? Did you do a little bit more than that, or some weeks maybe a little bit less?
I think it, like you said, Jamie, it was a mix. Some weeks I would do less, um, whereas some weeks I would put more into it. But I also think it's really dependent on how much you want to gain. If you're happy to just pass the course, gain the knowledge, that's fine. But if you really want to make the most out of it and create those like really good projects, then you'll put more hours into it. So I think it really depends on you as a person as well and how much you're willing to give to the course.
No, that's really sound advice. It's input and output. So,
Yeah.
it's advice I always give on my enrollment calls as well when I'm asked about, can I put more hours in or can I finish the program faster? I always say if you have the extra time, don't rush. There's lots of materials to get through, and the more you're able to put in, the more beneficial it will be as well. There is another question. They're quite interested to know about the employer project, as is, I'm sure, everyone. They just want to know a little bit about who the partner was and maybe any gems you can tell us about the project.
Oh, I must admit, I can't remember the name of my employee, but I know that it was for like private medical medical care. Um, and my project was we were looking at the way in which people booked private medical care appointments, and we were evaluating the current process that they had on their app, and then based on user insights we created solutions and then proposed a new way of booking appointments, choosing who to see, what doctor, um, very much like Bupa healthcare sort of process. Um, but I must admit, I can't remember the name of my employee. Sorry, that's probably not much help.
No, no, I believe it was Creative Navy. If that name
Yes,
sounds
yeah,
familiar, Creative
yes,
Navy
yeah.
was the employer partner. So for those that've never heard of Creative Navy, they are one of the largest UX and UI agencies in the UK and expanding globally as well. And they contract their services out to many different industries. And in Evie's cohort, they happen to partner with a medical technology company. And as you can hear, there are such real outcomes because the work that Evie and her team did could have had lifelong impact and positive impact on real people that needed medical help and attention, but the processes were just too difficult. So through our partnerships and projects, there are real outcomes, and it's fantastic for your CV as well. Tell me, Evie, how impressed was your employer with what you did with Creative Navy? Were they happy to see the outcomes there?
Yeah, they were really happy when I showcased the work that I'd done. I think even they were impressed about how how much I had done on the course and how like linked to the real world the learnings had actually been. So it's definitely, it was great selling point.
No, that's good to hear. And then another question from Didika. She wanted to know in terms of hiring or the career coaching. She had a question around do the coaches help with job fairs, portfolio reviews, introductions, referrals to industry? And often I say the coaches will help you with what you need them to assist you with, and they'll assist you to the best of their abilities, which is often quite a lot. But do you think the coaches, covered enough with you to satisfy you and to ensure that you felt equipped with their supports?
Oh yeah, definitely. I actually wish I had some career coach sessions now. I think honestly, I think they were so good because I really like I said, mine wasn't really about finding a job, but they were definitely useful for that. But mine was more about learning what I wanted to achieve, where I was in my career. And she was really good for like helping me set out the steps that I needed to do to achieve that goal. What did I need to do in a month's time? What did I need to do in 6 months' time to achieve that end goal? Um, so it's very personalized to you, but I definitely feel like I got a lot out of it.
That's really good. Last question from Radhika, Evie, is, I've been told adjacent skills like basic front end, design ops, motion, animation are increasingly expected. Are there any support to learn these skills? And if I can just go first quickly, it's not directly what we cover on the program, like motion and animation. Some roles they could potentially require it, depending on the industry that you're going with. I haven't seen too many UX UI product design roles with these requirements, and Evie, I see you agreeing there. But with AI today, and with the ease of AI and technology, you're able to have these skills at your fingertips, as long as you can prompt AI to do the animations or anything you need. That's more than possible in today's context, but the need for it in actual UX and product design roles is not going to be that required, unless it's an extremely niche role. Evie, do you have anything to add there?
I would say that's very right. I work at a startup and I'm expected to do a multitude of design research, UX, UI, developer handoff, but I work alongside a front end and a back end developer. So I don't think that there will ever be that, right, you need to know front end. I think it's always good to have an insight of like the technical constraints of what you're designing, but I don't think you're never going to have to replace a front end developer. You'll work alongside them. So build good communication with them, but don't feel like you need to have their skills because there's a reason why they have you both on the team.
Absolutely. Unless they don't, and then some questions might need to be asked, but generally
Yeah, I
they'll
would say.
they'll separate you, Radhika, so don't worry about that too much. And then quick final question from the Q&As. In terms of software, is it included in the course? Yes, it is. We use a free software called Figma, which you'll have access to. Figma does have a paid plus subscription with a few extra benefits not needed, but it's an enhancement. So that's an option for you if you want to make additional use of the extra benefits of Figma. More than welcome to, but for the free version we use, it's enough to get through it. Evie, would you agree with that?
Yeah, it was the free version's absolutely fine. Yeah.
All right, perfect. And that came from Sandra. So thank you so much, Sandra, for that question. And that wraps up the Q&A, Evie. The audience was quite light with you today. They didn't have too many questions, but thank you to yourself and Kat, who really covered everything in those initial questions as well. So to the audience, again, thank you for your time. Your attendance today is very much appreciated from myself and the wider 438 team. Evie, a big, massive thank you to you. It's been great to connect with you again after 2 whole years, to see that you're doing fantastic and really happy in your decision that I hopefully played a part in. So it's been a full circle moment for me, goosebumps and all. So thank you for your time as well again. And to everyone else, goodbye. Have a lovely Monday Monday afternoon forward.
Thank you, everyone.